Behind Hollywood's shine is a dark truth: alcoholism. These 10 stars reveal the hidden cost of fame and excess. Richard Burton, one of the most celebrated actors of his generation, was known for his rich, resonant voice and his tumultuous relationship with Elizabeth Taylor. Despite 7 Academy Award nominations and an undeniable charisma, Burton was plagued by an alcohol addiction that began when he was just 12 years old. His dependence on alcohol was no secret in Hollywood, with his daily intake of vodka spiraling out of control. At his worst, he drank up to 3 bottles a day. His excessive drinking began to impact his performances, notably during the filming of The Klansman, where he could barely stand and had to perform many scenes sitting or lying down. Off camera, his behavior was equally erratic. Once, after hearing rumors of a shark in the water, he downed 21 shots of tequila before diving into the ocean to confront the creature. Burton ignored repeated warnings from doctors, who told him that his addiction was destroying his liver and kidneys. He even developed alcohol crystals in his spine, a stark symbol of his self-destruction. Ultimately, Burton succumbed to alcoholism in 1984 at the age of 58, leaving behind a legacy of brilliant performances shadowed by personal tragedy. W.C. Fields was one of America's greatest comedians, known for his grouchy on-screen persona and impeccable comedic timing. Fields' love for alcohol was just as famous as his wit. He reportedly drank 2 quarts of gin every day, and his alcoholism led to severe health problems, including delirium tremens, which affected his ability to work. Despite nearly losing his career to alcohol, Fields made a comeback in radio and film, but his health continued to decline. Fields spent his last days at a sanatorium, where he passed away on Christmas Day in 1946. His battle with alcoholism, though tragic, never diminished his legacy as a comedic genius. Bernard Lee is best remembered for his portrayal of M in 11 James Bond films. But behind his professional success, Lee's personal life was deeply troubled. After the tragic death of his wife in a house fire, Lee's depression worsened, and he turned to alcohol to cope. His addiction became so severe that during breaks in filming, he would lock himself in his dressing room to avoid drinking, only to have alcohol delivered through the keyhole. Despite his best efforts to control his addiction, it consumed him. Lee outdrank even notorious heavyweights like Richard Burton and passed away from stomach cancer at the age of 73, his body destroyed by years of excessive drinking. Humphrey Bogart is widely considered one of the greatest actors in American film history, with unforgettable roles in classics such as Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon. But even at the height of his career, Bogart was known for his heavy drinking. His habit often made him belligerent, and his friends noted that while Bogart was pleasant during the day, by late evening he transformed into a mean, combative figure after drinking. His alcohol abuse began to take a toll on his professional life. On one occasion, he showed up to sit in his pajamas and refused to work. While filming Sahara, he would not leave his dressing room until his wife brought him a thermos of martinis. Eventually, his excessive drinking and smoking led to a diagnosis of esophageal cancer. Even as he faced his final days in 1957, Bogart was rarely seen without a drink in his hand. Peter O'Toole, the star of Lawrence of Arabia, was one of the most talented actors of his generation. His performances on screen were nothing short of spectacular, earning him 8 Academy Award nominations. However, O'Toole was also famous for his excessive drinking. His wild escapades during the filming of Lawrence of Arabia became the stuff of legend, and he was reportedly drunk throughout much of Beckett's 1964 production. O'Toole's alcohol-fueled antics were both humorous and tragic. He once went to see a play with a date, only to realize upon arrival that he was actually the star of the show. Despite giving up drinking later in life after serious health warnings, the damage had already been done. O'Toole's appearance and health deteriorated, and he passed away in 2013, his body ravaged by years of alcohol abuse. Barbara Payton's life is one of Hollywood's most tragic cautionary tales. A stunning blonde beauty from Minnesota, she shot to fame in the 1940s and 50s, starring alongside big names such as James Cagney, Gregory Peck, and Gary Cooper. Payton was poised to become one of the biggest stars of her era, but her downfall was as swift as her rise. Her personal life was a maelstrom of violent relationships, arrests, and public scandals, fueled by her descent into alcoholism. Despite her promising start, Payton's beauty and career began to fade as her drinking spiraled out of control. By the early 1960s, she had lost custody of her son and was arrested multiple times for public intoxication, writing bad checks, and even prostitution. Her rapid decline was shocking. She went from Hollywood glamour to being found passed out at a bus stop on Sunset Boulevard, wearing only a coat and swimsuit. At the age of 39, Payton died from heart and liver failure, her appearance so drastically altered by alcohol abuse that she was nearly unrecognizable. John Barrymore, a member of the illustrious Barrymore acting dynasty, was one of the greatest actors of the early 20th century. Known for his Shakespearean roles and his iconic portrayals of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Jekyll/Mr. Hyde, Barrymore's career was a testament to his immense talent. However, like many of Hollywood's greats, Barrymore struggled with alcohol addiction throughout his life. His drinking habits were infamous. At one point, his second wife caught him trying to drink her cologne when no other alcohol was available. His dependence on alcohol ultimately impacted his performance, to the point where he had to rely on cue cards to remember his lines. By the mid-1930s, Barrymore's hands trembled so badly that his on-screen persona reflected his off-screen decline. He died in 1942 at the age of 60, his body ravaged by cirrhosis, kidney disease, and chronic edema. Even in death, his friends reportedly borrowed his corpse for a macabre prank, a testament to the hard-living crowd he ran with during his life. Once hailed as one of the most handsome and promising actors of the 1970s and 80s, Jan Michael Vincent's life became a cautionary tale of how addiction can destroy everything. He rose to fame with roles in Airwolf and Big Wednesday, but his good looks and immense talent were overshadowed by his battle with alcoholism and substance abuse. His career, which had once seemed unstoppable, unraveled as his addiction worsened. Vincent was arrested multiple times for drunk driving and was involved in several serious car accidents, one of which left him with permanent injuries, including the loss of a leg. His physical appearance deteriorated as his addiction progressed, and by the end of his career, he was unrecognizable from his earlier heartthrob image. Despite once being the highest-paid actor on television, Vincent became a forgotten figure, succumbing to heart failure in 2019 at the age of 74. His tragic life serves as a stark reminder of the destructive power of addiction. Errol Flynn was Hollywood's ultimate swashbuckler, best known for his dashing roles in films like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood. However, his off-screen life was filled with scandal, excess, and debauchery. Flynn's love for alcohol was legendary. He threw wild parties at his Malibu home, dubbed Cirrhosis by the Sea, due to the vast quantities of alcohol consumed there. Flynn's health began to suffer at an early age, with doctors warning him that his heart and lungs were severely damaged by his reckless lifestyle. In his 30s, he collapsed in an elevator and was told his body could not handle his level of indulgence. Despite these warnings, Flynn continued his destructive habits until his death in 1959 at the age of 50. He died of a heart attack, but by then, his once handsome face and athletic physique had been destroyed by years of hard living. Oliver Reed was a powerful force on screen, captivating audiences with his intensity, magnetic blue eyes, and menacing performances in roles such as those in the Three Musketeers trilogy, Oliver Twist, and Gladiator. Known for playing dangerous villains, Reed's off-screen persona wasn't far from the characters he portrayed. His facial scars from a drunken bar brawl and his reputation for alcohol-fueled escapades overshadowed his acting career, which spanned over 120 films. Ridley Scott, the director of Gladiator, famously cast Reed in the role of Proximo under the condition that he abstained from alcohol during the film's production. However, during a break in filming in Malta, Reed engaged in a drinking challenge with Royal Navy sailors, consuming an absurd amount of alcohol: 8 bottles of beer, 3 bottles of rum, and whiskey shots. This bender ultimately caused a heart attack, ending his life at the age of 61. While his death was untimely, it reflected a lifetime of living on the edge, with Reed once lamenting that his biggest regret was not drinking every pub dry or sleeping with every woman in the world.